Hello, it's me, your friendly bot AI voice.
Don't know what was that all about. Anyways, perhaps not everyone saw my post, which was made on YouTube community tab. The feature is honestly a mess and doesn't work as it should be. YouTube should really reconsider how this feature works, because those posts show up only for those people who use mobile app. If you're on PC or TV, unfortunately you won't see the post. So I'm gonna repeat myself for those who hasn't read the post. So anyways, why was artificial voice used for the previous video? After checking my analytics for the past videos, I noticed that significant portion of my viewers watching my videos with English subtitles. Almost 15 to 30% to be exact. This made me realize that people might find it difficult to understand me, because English isn't my first language, as you can tell, and severe dyslexia doesn't help also. So I decided to try an experiment and see how people would react to a video with AI generated voice. People did react, and mostly negative. What was strange though, even though the video had clear English narration, the number of subtitle users didn't decrease. After some thoughts, I figured out sometimes people accidentally enable subtitles and just leave them on, just like I did the other day. Or they just like having the option to read something if they missed it. Or when watching on mobile app, subtitles can turn on automatically while scrolling through videos, which counts in the analytics. So I end up using artificial voice for nothing. I upset many people, alienated those who dislike synthetic voice, and created unnecessary tension. But now at least I'm pretty sure that nothing needs to be changed. Now enjoy the video.
Diablo Immortal. We love Diablo. Has brought millions of players around the world together to slay demons. We are making a full-fledged action RPG you can play everywhere with everyone.
Hey, just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
No, it's a fully fledged Diablo experience on mobile, which.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones,
got a phone.
right?
You can play on your tablet too.
I was curious.
Fluffy.
I was curious. I see a lot of mechanics that we've kind of been begging for in Diablo 3 in this. Is there any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this strictly mobile forever?
For those of you who are here at BlizzCon, thank you. Both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have
Everyone's got a
phones,
phone.
right?
You can play on your tablet too.
Diablo Immortal coming to PC along with mobile is huge, and I know the community is going to have a ton of different questions to ask related to this, and I think the biggest one will be, why PC? Why are we bringing Diablo Immortal to PC?
It's always been our goal with Diablo Immortal. It for mobile, that would be the best way to do that. It's going to have rich social systems. It has deep progression systems that allow players to continually play the game, customize their character, and make their character more powerful over time.
After nearly 6 years of drought from Blizzard's Diablo games, they managed to surprise us with this gem, Diablo Immortal. After the Diablo 3 fiasco, Blizzard decided to go all in and squeeze as much as possible from their beloved IP and create a microtransaction end boss. From the start, the game was even banned in several countries just because they utilize gambling mechanics. The strangest thing is that no one wanted this game, as the core Diablo audience is mainly PC gamers. But when it released, a lot of people started defending it blindly, using phrases like, "You don't need to spend money," or "I don't know, it doesn't affect me at all." The truth is that the game isn't bad. It's quite addictive actually, but its tragic use of predatory monetization is terrible. The game uses all known tricks to force players to spend as much money as possible. BlizzCon is attended mostly by PC gamers, so when they introduced the next game in Diablo franchise and it turned out to be a mobile game, players weren't impressed. What made it worse that it was visible on developers' faces that they were incredibly nervous.
If you want to know more, we'll be back here on the Mythic stage in just a few minutes. For those of you who are here at BlizzCon, thank you. We are going to have... Sorry. We welcome you here to BlizzCon, and there has never...
Because they knew this was not the audience to present a mobile game to. People in that room were ready to try their hardcore PCs and not to download a game on their phones so they could play Diablo while they're taking a dump. In June 2002, Diablo Immortal entered open beta. Blizzard developers did understand that they might lose a core audience of their fans, and all was needed is a terrible presentation, so they quickly rushed out to create a PC port. However, the port was done so careless that it was filled with UI features designed for mobile games like tap to play and oversized HUD elements. One of the rumors that gamers quickly spread was that the game could track your face. The rumor spread because the game files contained face detector and face analyzer.dll files. Some said that facial analysis was necessary because China was very strict with gaming laws. However, the game developer Adam Fletcher later explained that these were leftover files from early build of the game. The original idea was allow players to create their character face using their own photos, but they probably realized that it was a dumb idea for the game that would be played on such a small screen while you barely see your character face at all. Even though the game engine was completely new from Diablo 3, it managed to capture the Diablo 3 style quite well, which was one of the main points of criticism of the game. The game felt very similar to Diablo 3, both in atmosphere and graphics. Over the 6 years, the game didn't make much progress in the terms of graphical improvements, but that was intentional. After all, the game needs to be run on older phones too, but I think that developers were very lazy because all the assets, all the monsters, models, sound effects were reused on this game. Additionally, the fact that the game takes place between the Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 timeline worked in their favor, giving us essentially Diablo 3 prequel. So when the gamers said, "This looks like Diablo 3, developers could say, well, yeah, it takes place between those two games, so that's why it looks similar. Every step you take feels like an explosion, with animations and rewards flooding your screen one after another. You can't even physically keep track of what you're receiving and why, but this is by design. The game aims to constantly shower you with items, so that when this flow eventually stops, you feel emptiness, and you are tempted to buy one of the 100 of currency types to get another avalanche of rewards. The sad truth is that the mobile gaming market is much bigger than PC and console markets combined. That's why companies are rushing to release games on mobile platforms to capture even a fraction of this lucrative market for themselves. When you think about it, it's hard to grasp that 20 years ago the game of this caliber could only be played on ultra high-powered PCs. And now you're holding more power in your palm of your hands. However, it's unfortunate that entire mobile market is built around squeezing as much money as possible from you. Even simple games like SimCity or Dungeon Keeper, which is also on mobile right now, is forcing you to buy in-game currency to continue your progress. Otherwise, your progress will suddenly hit a wall and you can hardly do anything by then. The same kind of wall exists in this game. After reaching level 35, everything grinds to a halt. Of course, no one expected this game to be entirely for free. As I said before, Diablo Immortal isn't a bad game. What makes it bad is the predatory microtransactions. Things like the first dungeon, where you're given a one-time opportunity to spend money to buy a Mad King's Breach pack, sets the tone early. Your reward for completing a dungeon is the chance to spend money, and this happens after every dungeon. What's more, you notice that the price of these packs gradually increase. Diablo Immortal is so pay to win that you even have to spend money to get better rewards from dungeons. They achieve this through the crest system. If you pay money and use crests before entering a rift, you will get significantly better item drops than you would without them. Sure, you can earn crests by playing a game, but the time investment requirement is enormous, and this is intentional. After Diablo Immortal, Blizzard needed to pull a rabbit out of their hats, because fans were genuinely unhappy with this mobile game. Even though they made it playable on PC, the game was met with overwhelming negative feedback. Then, Blizzard did this.
Diablo 4 is darkness. You just saw the cinematic, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Pre-purchase to get early access and unlock in-game rewards.
There's going to never be an absence of something to do.
Is that we are going back to the franchise's darker roots.
It's a way to continue your Diablo adventure long after hitting max level.
It'll mean blood and gore. It'll mean occult symbols and rituals.
Diablo 4 Ultimate Edition.
By now, Blizzard had 3 Diablo games under their belt. The announcement of Diablo Immortal in 2018 was disastrous, and it became incredibly difficult for them to announce another Diablo game after losing trust of their players. Once the kings of gaming, Blizzard, has fallen from grace. Their hope was that their new project would bring some light back to the dark world that Blizzard have become. Things started well enough with announcement of Diablo 4 at BlizzCon, hyping up the fans. Though it was just a cinematic trailer, fans were excited about Blizzard attempting to return to their roots with a full-fledged Diablo game, and not a mobile title. And then everything went sideways.
More than 1,500 Activision Blizzard employees are calling for the resignation of the company's CEO, Bobby Kotick.
Blizzard needed only to make a game. But unfortunately, a major lawsuit disturbed everything. Many people quit and left the company because they couldn't stay in an environment where such things were happening, even if they were unaware of them. Simply being associated with the company became a problem. All projects, including Diablo 4, were thrown into chaos. The lawsuit struck a heavy blow to Blizzard, and the company began to hemorrhage talent left and right. This delayed Diablo 4 significantly. Meanwhile, Blizzard survived on nostalgia, releasing remakes of their classic games like World of Warcraft Classic, the disastrous Warcraft 3 Reforged, and Diablo 2 Resurrected. They knew that these would definitely make them money, which they could use to fund something new to regain fans' trust. But modern Blizzard is tragically plagued by greed. Monetization is pushed everywhere it can be. In World of Warcraft Classic, you can buy character boosts, expansion passes, and even WoW tokens to purchase gold with real money. Overwatch 2 is essentially a copy of Overwatch 1 with worse monetization, broken promises, and no meaningful new content. Warcraft 3 Reforged was reskinned, riddled with even more broken promises and problems. It seems like current Blizzard makes all its decisions based on greed and exploiting its players as much as possible. All we can do now is hope that Diablo 4 doesn't follow this pattern. For me, this is the last Blizzard game I ever play, because this company let us down too many times.
So stop holding out hope that Blizzard is going to come back. Everyone who founded Blizzard, all the principles that Blizzard was founded on, are dead. They've been desecrated. Let Blizzard go.
In August 2022, Blizzard announced that Diablo 4 is entering alpha stage and the game will be available to family and friends of Blizzard employees. Despite the NDAs, rumors spread and one of the journalists reported hearing mostly positive buzz. They also noted that there were no microtransactions in alpha build, leaving players unsure about the game's future monetization. Few months later, Diablo 4 entered closed beta, allowing players to test endgame, battle Lilith, try the Whispers of the Dead rotating quests, Nightmare Dungeons, PvP, and the Paragon board. This was the only public test, and the Blizzard's arrogance showed. They held it at a time when any significant changes would be impossible. Months later, the Washington Post published an article revealing that Diablo 4 developers were working extremely long hours to meet launch window. Management's poor handling caused people to work over weekends and for more than 10 hours a day. Developers received perks like $25 DoorDash coupons instead of meaningful support. Leadership changes were frequent, creating chaos and lowering morale. The Diablo team lost talent for over a year as employees sought better pay and conditions elsewhere. Bobby Kotick blamed Blizzard's stock decline on the delays of Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, ignoring the damage caused by the lawsuit. Once a company that prided itself on releasing games when it's ready, Blizzard now rushed games out in a good enough state. With the Diablo 4 launch only weeks away, things looked grim. On February 21st, Blizzard released a video, Inside the World of Sanctuary, where developers discussed the art direction, environments, monsters, gameplay innovation, and world building. They promised to bring the game closer to the style of Diablo 2 while ensuring constant variety and avoiding repetition. On March 1st, they released a gameplay trailer announcing that players who purchased the $90 Digital Deluxe or $100 Ultimate Edition would get early access. The Ultimate Edition also offered 4 days of early access, an accelerated seasonal battle pass, mounts, cosmetics, emotes, and rewards for other Blizzard games like Diablo 3 and Diablo Immortal. The Diablo 4 Early Access weekend arrived, allowing players to reach level 25. Access was granted to those who bought the Digital Deluxe Edition, letting them play as 3 classes: Barbarian, Rogue, and Sorcerer, and exploration only to the Fracture Peaks prologue. Once again, no endgame testing, just like Diablo 3. Initially, servers were unstable with long queues and frequent disconnects. Players would wait for an hour only to be disconnected and placed in even longer queues. Blizzard eventually released a patch claiming that issue was resolved, but the damage was done. Many players felt cheated, having spent extra money for that weekend only to face technical issues. As players delved deeper, they noticed that Diablo 4 didn't innovate within the ARPG genre. Tasks like collecting renown, finding altars of Lilith, and activating waypoints felt more like chores than gameplay. Instead of being challenging, these tasks were just a matter of googling their location. The always online requirement worried players about server stability. These were only a few issues that surfaced so early in the beta. Little did they know, it only got worse from here. Open Weekend arrived, allowing everyone to play the game and level all 5 classes up to level 25. Immediately, players noticed a huge power difference between the Necromancer and Druid. Classes like Barbarian and Druid were lagging behind all others in terms of killing speed. The Druid class was so bad that memes about it started circulating.
For 17 damage.
Oh, what a piece of shit. Most optimistic Druid.
Players pointed out the lack of features like gem tab, skill layouts, inventory filters, and other quality of life features that can be found in other games. Despite all those issues, the core of the game, like the animations, combat field, and sound, seemed good enough for now. Few days later, the Diablo 4 team announced that they were making significant changes to the character classes, dungeon design, UI elements, and more. People were happy because it seems like developers were listening to the feedback and making adjustments. In the last few days, developers assured us that they were returning to their roots, going back to Diablo 2. Could Blizzard really be trying to play the nostalgia card again? Haven't we heard this before? Doesn't it feel like the same pattern with their past games? All that's left now is to wait and hope for the best. June 5th, 2023, Diablo 4 was released. No matter how well the game is received or what review scores it gets, shareholders and executives only care about the numbers, and Diablo 4 numbers were astronomical. In just 5 days, Diablo generated 666 million in revenue and is estimated to have sold 10 million copies. This doesn't include the microtransactions, which were abundant in the game. In the eyes of corporation, Diablo 4 was booming. It became, again, Blizzard's fastest selling game of all time, just like Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 before it. But in players' eyes, Diablo 4 was falling faster than it was selling. Right after the release, YouTube was flooded with Diablo 4 reviews. They pointed out while the early game was fun because everything was new, as the game progressed into the end game, the fun quickly wore off. Honestly, Diablo 4 didn't bring anything new or creative to the ARPG genre. Blizzard took zero risk with this game. The Tree of Whispers was just like the bounties in Diablo 3. They kept the same generic gambling system. Paragon board just basically stolen from the game vaults, and nightmare dungeons were just rift runs from Diablo 3. The new free choice leveling was just adventure mode from Diablo 3. Nothing here was new or innovating. The players grew bored of it with a few weeks. The main problem with games that lack endgame is that they make leveling up to the max very slow. This gives them time to come up with something new. Blizzard did exactly that. One by one, they began nerfing all the known farming spots and dungeons. And when that wasn't enough, they completely nerfed the number of elite mobs, one of the most fun aspects of the game. Build diversity was non-existent. You could clearly see the same build being used over and over again. Instead of buffing abilities to balance out the weaker classes, they just nerfed abilities that perform too well, making everything feel boring. And with the cost of respec, players were hesitant to experiment with different builds. Especially the Paragon board skills, where you need to click them individually to respec, were tedious and expensive. During this time, players were able to reach level 65 and saw that their progress come to a halt. It became clear that Diablo 4 lacked endgame and was stuck in the early game phase, with little to do after finishing the story. Diablo 4 wants to be Diablo 2, but it's really something else. You can never recreate what was there before, simply because it was made by the right people at the right time. Diablo 4 falls apart due to its ambition, as it tries to be the same game it once was. Instead of creating something new, it tries to replicate what worked before. They made strides to introduce new things to Diablo universe. One of those things was open world. And what do you think? They made some sort of MMO, just like original Diablo 1 creators. Diablo 4, in terms of graphic, presentation, sound and effects, truly top-notch. But it would be strange if it wasn't, given the game budget, which was set the developers back between 170 and 240 millions, with as much as 300 millions spent on marketing alone. And as the honeymoon period ended and those issues that you thought you could ignore began to make themselves known more and more, that huge world which seemed like you could get lost to it actually felt empty after the story ended. And the items you kept collecting were worthless, niche, and completely unusable for your build. When you finish the story, you're about level 50, but you're not even halfway through the game due to the way experience curve work. Now I have to kill bosses and do side quests to level up, but everything is level scaled, so my progress doesn't feel meaningful. In other games, when you level up, you at least feel somewhat stronger. You add stat points or get a new skill or improve existing ones. Here, all the monsters get stronger and your level makes you weaker. I noticed it when traveling through the world. It was better just to run past the mobs to reach my destination, which is just ridiculous. If you're playing an ARPG, one of the things that keeps you playing until 2 AM is killing monsters to get the missing item for your build or something that can completely change it. The main issue with the loot system is that game showers you with legendary items, and at the end of the day, they feel worthless. There are simply way too many of them, and they drop way too frequent. At first it was fun and exciting, like when you hit level 10 and you get your first legendary item, then you think, wow, this one makes my leap to create a mini earthquakes. It's a bit weird that I'm getting it at such a low level, but okay, I'm impressed. I remember in Diablo 2 your build might have one legendary item at most, and you felt like the most powerful player. And that's the thing, on Diablo 2, when you reach a level or get an item, you feel your progress, you feel getting stronger, monsters die faster. But now you're buried with a pile of legendary items, and they don't feel legendary at all, and you don't feel strong. The game is designed so that you have to extract special powers from those items to create an interesting build. Legendary items completely devalue everything else because they always have the unique effects and more affixes than rare items. You can slot them in any gear piece, so why would you use anything else? What's the point of blue or yellow items if one group is vastly superior? This system essentially makes everything below legendary items feel like trash, and that's not how a good loot system should work. Gear set also disappeared. Diablo 3 still had set items which allowed some individuality in builds. Collecting set items felt like achievement. Look, I completed this set. This added extra layer to the game, and its absence is noticeable. I lost all hope in Diablo series, and this will be the last Blizzard game I will ever play. It's sad, but also bittersweet, remembering how Diablo 2 was one of the best games I ever played. Now we have Path of Exile 2, which is already a better game than Diablo 4, even in its early access state. Thank you for watching this long video series. Hope you enjoyed. Please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like or a comment. If you really like my content and want to help me continue making these videos, you can always buy me a coffee by using this button or this link, which you can find in the description. Thank you for watching, and see you another time.